At exactly 2:13 in the morning, 12-year-old Emma Vale woke up because someone was singing outside her bedroom. It was the same lullaby her mother used to sing when Emma was little. There was only one problem. Her mother had been dead for 3 years. Emma slowly climbed out of bed and walked toward her. The singing stopped. Then 3 soft knocks came from inside her bedroom closet. Emma froze. "Mom!" A child's voice answered from behind the closet door. "Emma, don't let Daddy open it." Emma's heart pounded, because the voice wasn't coming from the closet anymore. It was coming from underneath her bed. And then something whispered her name. Not Emma. It whispered the name nobody in the family had spoken for 20 years. Evelyn. Before we enter that house, subscribe, turn on notification, and comment the country you're watching from. You won't want to miss what happens next. 3 weeks earlier, Daniel Vale moved his family to his country house outside the small town of Briar Hollow. The house had been empty for nearly 20 years. It stood beyond a long gravel road, surrounded by dead trees that seemed to stretch endlessly into the darkness. Daniel didn't care about the rumors. He was a good Emma discovered an old wooden staircase leading to the second floor. It was a small bedroom with faded blue wallpaper. There was a child's name carved into the wood. Evelyn. "Dad," Emma called. Daniel appeared behind her. "What?" Who was Evelyn? His expression changed. Only for a second. Then he forced a smile. "I don't know." Emma stared at him. "You look like you know." Daniel looked at the carved name again. "I said I don't know." That night, Emma woke at 2:13. She heard footsteps walking slowly across the hallway. Then she heard her mother's lullaby, the same song Sarah used to sing before she died. Emma sat upright in bed. She told herself it was the wind. Then someone whispered from the hallway, "Emma." She opened her bedroom door. The hallway was empty, but at the end of it stood a little girl. She was wearing an old-fashioned white dress. Her face was hidden beneath long, dark hair. Emma blinked. The girl disappeared. The next morning, Emma said nothing. But Noah did. While eating breakfast, he looked at Daniel and asked, "Dad, why does Mommy keep standing outside my room?" Daniel dropped his coffee. "What did you say?" Noah frowned. "Mommy." Silence filled the kitchen. "You saw her?" Noah nodded. "She told me she doesn't like the woman upstairs." Daniel stared toward the ceiling. There was nobody upstairs. At least there shouldn't have been. That afternoon, Daniel found an old newspaper hidden beneath a loose floorboard. The headline was nearly unreadable. "Local family disappears without a trace." The family name was Mercer, and the youngest child was Evelyn Mercer. Age 7. Daniel kept reading. The Mercers had lived in the house 23 years earlier. One night the parents vanished. Their bodies were never found. But Evelyn's body had been discovered inside the walls. Daniel stopped breathing. At the bottom of the article was one sentence. Neighbors reported hearing a child singing for several nights after the disappearance. Daniel immediately called someone. Her name was Mara Bennett. She was a paranormal investigator who had spent years studying unexplained disturbances. Daniel didn't believe in ghosts. Not really. But he believed in protecting his children. And something inside that house was beginning to make him afraid. Rising tension. Mara arrived the following evening with her brother Caleb, who worked as an audio technician. They entered the house just after sunset. Mara immediately noticed something strange. The temperature inside the house was dramatically lower than outside. She looked at Daniel. When did this start? Daniel hesitated. About a week ago. Mara frowned. You should have called me sooner. She walked through the house, examining the walls, floors, and old photographs. In the upstairs hallway, she stopped. The carved name on the door caught her attention. Who is Evelyn? Daniel told her about the newspaper. Mara's expression became serious. Don't say her name again. Emma overheard. Why? Mara looked at her. Because sometimes attention is an invitation. That night they set up cameras. At midnight, nothing happened. 12:30. Nothing. 1:00. Still nothing. Then the camera in Emma's bedroom suddenly switched off. Caleb checked the equipment. Power's fine. The camera switched back on. On the screen, Emma's empty bedroom appeared. There was someone standing behind the bed. A little girl. Caleb turned pale. Is that Emma? Mara shook her head. Emma is downstairs. They ran upstairs. Emma was still downstairs. When they entered the room, they found wet footprints across the floor. The footprints belonged to a child. They began at the window. They crossed the room and stopped beside Emma's bed. Then they heard a whisper. Don't wake him. Daniel looked around. Wake who? A loud bang came from the wall. Everyone jumped. Another bang. Then another. Something was knocked off inside the wall. 3 times. Pause. 3 times. Pause. 1st showed Evelyn Mercer standing in front of the house. The 2nd showed silent. It showed Evelyn standing beside another little girl. Emma. Daniel dropped the photograph. That can't be possible. Mara picked it up. Who is this? Daniel stared at the picture. I don't know. But Emma did. She had walked silently into the room. That girl is me. Daniel turned. What? Emma pointed at the photograph. That is me. Mara studied the image. Emma, this photograph is at least 20 years old. Emma shook her head. No. She pointed toward the girl beside Evelyn. That isn't me. Everyone waited. Emma's voice became a whisper. That's Mommy. Daniel felt the blood drain from his face. Sarah had been 12 when the photograph was supposedly taken. But there was something impossible about it. The 2 girls were standing beside the same house. And on the back of the photograph were 6 handwritten words. She PROMISED to come back. That night, Daniel refused to let the children sleep alone. They stayed together in the living room. At 2:13, every light in the house turned off. The front door slammed shut. The television switched on by itself. Static filled the room. Through the speakers. Daniel. He froze. Emma started crying. The television showed an image of Sarah, but it wasn't a recording. Her lips moved. "Daniel, you brought them back." Daniel whispered. "Who?" Sarah's face suddenly changed. Her expression became terrified. "Don't trust the little girl." The screen went black. Then someone knocked on the front door. Daniel approached slowly. Marla grabbed his arm. "Don't." The knocking continued. 3 times. Then a child's voice came from outside. "Daddy." Daniel stopped. Emma whispered, "That's Noah." Everyone turned. Noah was standing beside them. The voice outside came again. "Daddy, please let me in." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. Mara shook her head. "That isn't your son." The voice became angry. "Daddy." The entire house shook. Windows rattled. Pictures fell from the walls. And from upstairs came the sound of a child laughing. Then another voice whispered directly beside Daniel's ear. "She remembers you." Daniel spun around. Nobody was there. Mara realized the house wasn't simply haunted. Something had been trapped there, and it had been waiting for someone from Sarah's family to return. They searched through the old records until Mara discovered the truth. Sarah's family had lived in Briar Hollow decades earlier. Sarah had been adopted as a child. Her biological mother was Evelyn Mercer's older sister. Sarah had never known. The house wasn't connected to Daniel by accident. It was connected through Sarah. Evelyn had disappeared because her parents had attempted something terrible. They believed the house could grant them whatever they desired if they offered it a child's fear. They had performed a ritual. But the ritual went wrong. Evelyn died, and whatever answered their call remained inside the house. It had spent decades waiting for the family to return. Now it wanted Emma. The little girl wasn't trying to hurt them. She had been protecting them. The terrifying figure they had seen wasn't Evelyn. It was the thing that had trapped her. Mara found the original ritual room beneath the house. Inside was a circle carved into the floor. At the center was an old wooden chair. Emma suddenly walked into the room. Daniel grabbed her. "Emma, stay behind me." But she stared at the chair. "Mommy is there." Daniel looked. Nobody was sitting in it. Then Sarah appeared. Not as the terrifying figure from the television. She appeared as Daniel remembered her. Smiling, tired, beautiful. Daniel began crying. "Sarah." She looked at Emma, then at Noah. "I've been trying to keep it away from them." Daniel stepped forward. "How do we stop it?" Sarah looked toward the ceiling. "You have to make it believe you are afraid." Myra understood. The entity fed on fear. If they refused to give it fear, they could break its hold. Suddenly, the room went dark. A figure appeared behind Emma. Tall, distorted, its face hidden in shadow. The walls began whispering. Every voice Daniel had ever loved called his name. Sarah, his parents, even Emma. The entity wanted him to surrender. Daniel closed his eyes. He held Emma's hand. Then Noah's. "We're not afraid of you." The figure screamed. The house shook violently. Mara shouted for them to keep going. Daniel looked at his children. "We're staying together." Emma repeated. "We're staying together." Noah followed. The entity moved closer. Then Sarah appeared between them. She looked at Daniel one last time. "Now." Mara struck the old wooden chair with an iron bar. The chair split apart. The darkness exploded outward. The house screamed. For one terrible second, Daniel thought they were all going to disappear. Then everything stopped. Silence. The lights returned. The walls became still. And the little girl in the white dress appeared at the doorway. This time, Emma could see her face. Evelyn smiled. Then she whispered, "Thank you." She disappeared. The police arrived the next morning. Daniel told them the house had suffered structural damage during the night. He never mentioned Evelyn. He never mentioned Sarah. And Mara never told anyone what happened beneath the house. The Vale family left Briar Hollow 3 days later. They never returned. Months passed. Emma slowly stopped dreaming about the little girl. Noah stopped asking why Mommy stood outside his room. Daniel began rebuilding their lives. For the first time in years, the house felt like something they had escaped. Until one evening, Emma found an old photograph inside a box that had come from Briar Hollow. She stared at it. It was the photograph of Evelyn and Sarah. But something had changed. There had originally been 2 girls in the picture. Now there were 3. Evelyn, Sarah, and Emma. Emma turned the photograph over. New handwriting had appeared on the back. 6 words. You left the door open. Emma's bedroom light suddenly flickered. Then she heard 3 soft knocks. Not from the closet. Not from underneath the bed. From inside the wall. Emma slowly stepped backward. And somewhere in the darkness, a child's voice whispered, "Emma." She stopped breathing. The voice continued. But Evelyn wasn't the one you should have been afraid of. The screen cuts to black.